Hello, my crafting friends. I have 3 all-new primitive farmhouse Valentine's DIYs using primarily Dollar Tree items, so come craft with me. My name is Sarah, and welcome to my channel, Primroselaneprims. If you haven't done so already, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button and craft with me again in the future. And now let's jump right into these Dollar Tree Valentine's Days. For this first DIY, I'm going to be using just this little jar. This was a little mason jar that I think originally had rock candy in it that I got at a craft show. And I'm going to repurpose this jar. We're going to make a little prim candle jar. So to start off, I'm going to be taking my Waverly chalk paint and the color ink, and I'm going to give this one coat. We're going to grunge this candle and grunge this jar and make it a nice little grubby, grungy, primitive jar. And I want a dark layer underneath. Once my paint is dry, I'm going to give this one coat of my matte finish Mod Podge. And this is my grunging jar of Mod Podge, so you can see it's got cinnamon kind of mixed in it. I have a separate jar that I use for Mod Podge, or that I use for grunging, so that way my main jar doesn't get covered in cinnamon. Now once this is done, I'm going to use my ground cinnamon, and I'm just going to sprinkle it all over the top of my jar. I'm going to give it a pretty good coating, and I'm going to take my hand and just press that cinnamon down in that Mod Podge really good. Let that dry just for a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes or so. Then I'm going to go back in with my Mod Podge and give it another good coat. And I'm not so much going to swipe my brush as dab my brush, so that it gives it a nice grubby texture. When you dab, it causes your cinnamon to more bunch up in little bits, whereas if you wipe your brush, it smears it, comes like a paste, and certain sections have more than others. And I like that on cans, but when I do glass, and as you saw with the candles I did last week, I like to do this dabbing. It really gives it a really pretty, grungy, grubby texture. Now once I have the second coat of Mod Podge, I'm just going to take some of this excess cinnamon, just sprinkle a little bit right on top of that. Not a full coating like the first time, just a little bit here and there. Give it just a little extra layer of grunge. And once it's dry, this is what it looks like. Now I just want to add a little filler down on the bottom of my jar, and I'm just using these plastic bags to do so. And I'm going to take one of these candles. These were Dollar Tree candles, the LED emergency ones that I grunged, and if you missed that video, I will post the link down below. And I'm going to add some floral foam to my jar, and I'm going to hot glue this little stand that comes with these candles right on top of my floral foam. Now before I go any farther with the top, I want to finish decorating my jar. So I'm going to take this homespun fabric. This is a maroon and cream gingham. And I'm just going to cut a strip and wrap it right around the center of my jar and tie it. A little bit of hot glue to tack it down so that way it stays put. Trim my tails here. And sometimes when you're crafting upside down, it's kind of hard sometimes. It takes me a second to make sure I get them both going the right direction. I'm going to take one of these little rusty hearts, and then I'm going to hot glue it right into the center of my homespun fabric here. Use a little glue to tack that tail down so that it stays where I want it. And watch these little metal hearts, or even if you use a star here, they can heat up, so don't burn your fingers. But look how cute. Now I can start at the top. So my candle fits right down in that little holder, and I'm going to add a little extra glue down in there to keep that floral foam in place. Then I want to add a little more hot glue on top, and I'm going to stuff this whole top with this dried Spanish moss. And I'm going to use a pretty good amount here. I really want to fill in that jar the rest of the way and fit around that candle and have enough hanging over that it will cover the rim of that jar. So as you'll see, I'm going to take my hot glue and just put a little on the top of that rim and press that down so that my Spanish moss hangs over and covers the rivets where the lid originally went. I want those covered, and the moss, it hangs down. It just gives it that nice pretty look. I try to do my moss over this little bucket because man, the Spanish moss likes to make a mess. I absolutely love crafting with Spanish moss. It's one of my favorites, especially in rustic and primitive, but it can make a mess. Just trim up some of the more wilder bits of moss. And look how cute. And as you can see, now still pop that candle in and out. That holder's down there to turn it on and off or to replace the batteries. And there you go. This is one that you could use not only for Valentine's Day, but you could keep out year round as well. This next DIY, I'm going to be using one of these wood bead hearts from the Dollar Tree. This is a really fast and easy, just quick transformation to take one of these little beaded hearts and give it a nice, pretty primitive look. And I'm going to take my Waverly Antique Wax and I'm going to coat all of my beads in this. And this really didn't take long. I think I had the whole thing done in about 10 minutes, even though I've sped up the video a little bit to do a little speed painting here for you, so I don't completely bore you to tears painting. But it only took me about 10 minutes total to do this whole thing. Really, it wasn't that bad. Once I have that all done, I'm going to go in with some homespun fabric, and I have this pretty striped homespun, and I'm just going to tie a little bow out of my fabric. Just a simple little shoestring bow out of my fabric. Like I said, this is just a real easy project, but it really transforms these little bead hearts. So for $1.50 bead heart, it looks really pretty hanging in a window or putting it on a wreath or on a door. I'm going to take another strip of this fabric and I'm going to tie it here. This is going to be my hanger for my little heart wreath. I'm going to tie it in a knot here. And I'm going to pull the knot down to the center where the beads are. After I trim off all of the little strings, this particular homespun fabric had a lot of strings. So I'm just going to take the knot and I'm going to put it right there in between the beads. And I'm going to wrap the fabric around once and tie it. And that way that'll keep that fabric hanger from moving around. Then I'll just trim off the extra tails once I have that tied. See, so now that hanger will stay put. Then I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm going to add my little bow right on top of that so you won't even see where that was tied. And that's it for this one. Like I said, quick, easy, but oh so cute and rustic. For this DIY, I'm going to be using these little heart treat bags. These are from the Dollar Tree. They come with 3 in a bag, and I'm going to take just some plain old cardstock here, and I'm going to just roll it up, kind of like a scroll. And I'm going to use these to actually, that's what we're making, like little, what looks like little scrolls. And I'm going to actually fold this in half. I can get 2 out of 1 sheet of paper. And I'm going to make a total of 4 of these. So I'll just cut this in half, roll these right back up, and use hot glue to secure them down. I'm going to make a little shelf sitter of love letters, and these are going to be our little rolled scroll love letters. And once they're glued, I'm going to take some jute twine too, and I'm going to tie that around them as well. Once I have all my little scrolls made, I'm going to take my Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm just going to brush some on this cardstock here. I'm not going to fully cover it, just want to get a decent amount on there, because then I'm going to take my damp rag, and I'm just going to go right over top of this antique wax. It is just going to smear it. You could use a baby wipe as well. I didn't have any baby wipes on hand. I just have my rags, so that's what I use. So I'm just going to add my wax with my brush. And then take my damp rag and just go over, and it'll just smear that wax and give it that nice, like, old aged parchment paper look. And I'm not going to go all the way down, because some of this is going to be hidden down in the bag. Just really need that top 3/4. Get underneath my little piece of twine there. Be sure to get your tops here, because the very tip tops here will be seen. So tuck your brush down in there so the tops of our little love letters match the rest of it. Continue to do that to all of them. Now, I'm also going to take my little bags here, and I'm going to dry brush my antique wax over top of these as well to give these a little bit of a grunge, aged, primitive look too. You could also tea stain these. This would be really cute. After I started doing this, I started thinking tea staining these would have been a really good idea too. But I'd already started this way, so that's the way I'm going to finish this one. So I'm just going to take my antique wax, go over front, back, and even on the seams there, kind of pop it open and make these look a little older. This little bag of love letters has been sitting around for a while. I'm going to add a little darker. That red's really bright on that heart, and I wanted to tone it down. Got a little much, so I just took my rag and wiped over it and helped blend that in a little bit. And once I've got my bag distressed, I'm just going to take my 4 little scroll love letters here and pop them right down into that bag. And I want to fill out the bottom of that bag a little more, so I'm just taking some of these plastic bags. You could also use some polyfill stuffing, but if you see me, you know I like to stuff with these bags. It's a great way to recycle them and save a little money. So I'm just going to take one, rip it apart, and just kind of stuff it down at the bottom just to fill out that bottom a little bit around the base of those letters. Give these a little adjustment, and I'm going to pull these strings tight here. And I was originally going to use these strings here to tie off my bag. And as I was doing it, I just was not loving that red with this. It was just too bright. It just wasn't looking how I had quite envisioned it in my head to look. So we switched gears and I grabbed my big roll of jute twine here, and underneath those red drawstrings, I'm going to tie it off with my jute twine. I'm going to tie a knot here. And I'm going to untie these, or try to. I'm just going to cut those red ties off completely and open that bag up a little bit. And I think that looks so much better. I'm going to wrap that jute twine around one more time and then tie it off in a knot in the center. I like how that looks much better than those red ties. A lot of times things will turn out exactly how I envisioned them in my head, and sometimes they just don't. Next, I'm going to take one of my little paper tags from Amazon, and using my fine tip Sharpie marker, I'm going to write love letters, because that's what these are. These are a bag of love letters. And I'm going to crumple my tag up here and take my Waverly Antique Wax to distress. If you prefer to use distressing ink or whatever you have on hand, then I do that. I just like to use my wax. It's kind of a one-stop shop. I use it for a lot of things, as you've probably noticed if you've seen me before. And I'm going to hot glue my little tag just right underneath the knot there of my twine where I tied that bag off. And I'm going to add a little bit, some darker smudges to my letters, and the tops of some of mine where I didn't quite get it, and around that twine a little bit, and the top of the bag. Just any places looks like I missed. I'm going to trim down the twine where I tied the scrolls too. They were a little long. Next, I'm going to take these cream colored pit berries. I'm going to rip the stem apart a little bit, just a few little sprigs here, and I'm going to take these and tuck these down in and around the paper, or little paper love letters in our bag. I'm going to add a couple of the larger ones in the back and add a couple in the front in between. Just wherever I think one looks good to help fill this out a little more. Now last, I'm going to take this little lace ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to tie just a simple little shoestring bow here and hot glue it right over top of the knot where I tied my twine, where I tied the bag closed. Take just a little bit of that antique wax and go over that lace to make it match the rest of the project. Just give it that nice aged vintage look. These are the perfect size to pop on a little shelf or in a tiered tray. Just a cute little decoration to add a little bit of romantic charm to your home this Valentine's Day. And that's it for today. Leave me a comment, let me know which of today's was your favorite, and if you think you might try one of these. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop down, hit that like button, and I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and crafting with me again in the future. And until next time, thanks for watching. God bless. Happy crafting.